The global political arena is like a giant chessboard, where every move by major powers can tip the balance of power. Now, as the United States begins to step back from its leading role, forces from the Middle East to Europe are shifting and jockeying for position. With the America First policy, the White House may withdraw from numerous military commitments in these regions. This raises a pressing question worldwide. Will the power vacuum left by the US create new opportunities? Or will it pull these regions further into the spiral of chaos? Between 2017 and 2021, the world watched as the United States embraced a new vision, the America First policy. A doctrine that sought to put the nation's interests above all else. Under Donald Trump's leadership, Washington began to pull back from overseas military commitments and reshape global relationships to serve its own economy and security. At its heart, America First wasn't just a slogan. It was a shield, built to protect the U.S. from the rising tide of global competition. To achieve this, the Trump administration adopted a series of strong protectionist measures, raising import tariffs on goods from China, the European Union, and several other nations, all in an effort to narrow the trade deficit. Major trade agreements were also rewritten. The U.S. withdrew from the TPP and reshaped NAFTA into the USMCA. A deal designed to serve America's own interests first. Alongside its economic agenda, the Trump administration also scaled back U.S. military involvement overseas, redirecting funds and resources back home. This shift was made clear through the withdrawal of American troops from conflict zones like Syria, Afghanistan, and Iraq, a move aimed at cutting military spending. At the same time, Washington increased pressure on its NATO allies, urging them to raise their own defense budgets and share more of the financial burden. Beyond economics and military matters, Trump's foreign policy carried a distinctly confrontational tone toward America's rivals. The U.S. intensified sanctions on Iran and North Korea to curb their nuclear programs, withdrew from the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action with Iran, and pulled out of the Paris Climate Agreement, all on the grounds that these deals did not serve America's interests. In addition, the America First policy carried a conservative stance, focusing on limiting immigration to the United States, especially illegal entries. The Trump administration implemented a series of strict measures to secure the borders, most notably constructing the border wall with Mexico to prevent unlawful crossings. At the same time, Washington tightened asylum policies and reduced legal immigration quotas, reflecting the view that the U.S. should admit only those who make a positive contribution to the economy. In essence, America First was a highly protectionist approach, focusing on strengthening domestic security and national standing rather than spreading resources across the globe as before. This policy not only reshaped America's global strategy but also triggered profound shifts in the international balance of power, especially in Europe. The U.S. withdrawal from military commitments in the region is set to cause significant political and security upheavals. Two major effects stand out: a reduction in military commitments and defense spending pressures, while simultaneously creating opportunities for Russia to expand its influence. President Trump repeatedly emphasized that NATO members needed to increase their defense budgets to share the financial burden. According to the New York Post on March 13, 2025, this pressure forced many NATO countries, especially Germany and Eastern European nations, to quickly adjust their defense spending. The result? Internal defense capabilities improved, but many countries had to reallocate budgets from civilian sectors to the military, fueling internal tensions. But it doesn't stop there. The reduction of U.S. military presence in Europe is seen as an opportunity for Russia to strengthen its influence. The Associated Press noted that America's less frequent presence in Eastern Europe has raised concerns in countries like Ukraine and other sensitive regions. Russia's rise is evident in its intensified military exercises near NATO borders, alongside diplomatic and economic activities aimed at exerting pressure and containment on neighboring states. This has left Europe in a position where it must both enhance its defense capabilities and carefully balance dialogue with confrontation toward Moscow. On the economic front, U.S. trade protection measures, especially tariffs on imports from the EU, were more than just economic actions. They represented a far-reaching geopolitical strategy. The U.S. imposed tariffs on key EU products such as wine, cheese, cars, and aircraft to shield domestic industries from competitive pressure. Behind this, however, lies a quiet struggle for power and influence on the global trade stage. For Europe, the impact was severe. Economies already strained by internal instability and global economic slowdown faced higher export costs, reduced competitiveness, and mounting pressure on businesses, forcing many to scale back production, cut jobs, and suffer declining profits. Escalating trade tensions triggered retaliatory measures from the EU, including tariffs on American goods. On March 12, 2025, the European Union announced tariffs worth €26 billion, equivalent to $28 billion, on American goods. In response, the U.S. imposed tariffs of up to 25% on aluminum and steel imports from the EU. Both sides could be drawn into a prolonged trade war, which would not only weaken the economies of each region but also impact global growth. This instability could disrupt global supply chains, shake investor confidence, and negatively impact financial markets. In a deeply interconnected world, U.S. protectionist measures extend beyond the West, reaching allies and other trading partners. This sets off a domino effect, prompting many countries to raise trade barriers, undermining the free trade system that the world painstakingly built after World War II. U.S. protectionist measures are not just about tariffs or trade balances. They can ignite a strategic confrontation, where the economy becomes a weapon and trade the battlefield. Politically, shifts in foreign policy under President Donald Trump have not only stirred domestic turmoil in the U.S., but also strained key alliances, especially with the European Union. The result is heightened transatlantic instability and heated debates within the EU on how to respond to Washington's policies. A big question now hangs over the European Union. Is it time for them to stand on their own 2 feet? Sudden decisions from the White House, ranging from shifts in foreign policy toward Ukraine, the reimposition of tariffs on European partners, to pulling out of international agreements, have prompted some countries, like France and Germany, to call for greater strategic autonomy. In this context, a crucial debate has erupted among EU members. Should Europe reduce its dependence on the United States, or continue to uphold the traditional alliance? French President Emmanuel Macron has repeatedly emphasized that Europe cannot forever stand under the protective umbrella of the US and must build an independent defense strategy. On the other hand, some Eastern European countries, such as Poland and Hungary, remain steadfast in supporting the US military presence, viewing Washington as a pillar of security against Russia's growing influence. This divergence in perspectives has deepened internal rifts within the EU, posing significant challenges to unity and a coherent foreign policy strategy. Thus, the European Union now faces a defining question. Can the alliance truly stand strong on the global stage, without the United States? The debate over whether to pursue greater strategic autonomy or maintain close ties with Washington has sparked intense divisions, weakening unity in both military and diplomatic decision-making. These fractures reach far beyond defense. They threaten Europe's economic stability and even the balance of global security. And in an era of an unpredictable America under Donald Trump, one can't help but wonder, will the EU find a common voice? Or continue to drift apart? Perhaps only time will tell. If in Europe, the America First policy has shaken the very foundation of traditional alliances, then in the Middle East, it has done more than just erode trust in the White House. It has opened the door for new powers to rise. The shifts in U.S. foreign policy have left behind a dangerous power vacuum, especially in the realm of security. A void eagerly filled by those seeking greater influence on the global stage. This wasn't just a domestic strategic move by Washington. It sent ripples across the world's conflict zones. As the U.S. withdrew its troops from hotspots like Syria and Iraq, extremist groups such as ISIS and al-Qaeda found room to regroup and expand their reach, threatening regional stability. At the same time, long-standing allies, from Israel to Saudi Arabia and even Europe, began to question whether they could still rely on America's protection. The lack of consistency in U.S. policy has forced many nations to look for alternatives, strengthening their own defenses, or turning to other global powers for support. Without a stabilizing leader to hold the line, smaller conflicts risk spiraling out of control, creating openings for rival powers to expand their influence. A prime example of this shift is the rise of Iran in the Middle East. The U.S. withdrawal created the perfect opening for Tehran to strengthen its foothold in Iraq and Syria, advancing a long-term strategy to reshape the regional balance of power. Iraq has become a strategic frontline, where Iran steadily expands its influence through a network of proxy forces. The militias backed by Iran, most notably the Popular Mobilization Forces (PMF), not only play a military role but also infiltrate Iraq's political structures, giving Tehran a strong voice in decision-making in Baghdad. Through financial support, military assistance, and tactical advice, Iran has turned these allied armed groups into instruments serving its strategic interests. As a result, Iraq increasingly becomes part of the resistance axis Iran has built, stretching from Tehran to Beirut, forming a geopolitical corridor connecting its allies. Similarly, Syria has become a key link in Iran's strategy to expand its influence. If Iraq is the strategic frontline, then Syria serves as an advanced stronghold, where Tehran and its allies consolidate their military and political position to protect regional interests. Since the outbreak of the Syrian civil war, Iran has maintained a significant military presence through the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps and allied militias such as Hezbollah. For this reason, Syria is not only a strategic territory but also a crucial element in Iran's ambitions to extend its influence. The reduction of U.S. military involvement has opened the door for Iran to strengthen its bases, transport weapons, and expand its missile defense systems to counter potential threats. This shift not only impacts the already complex situation in Syria but also has far-reaching effects on Tehran's broader regional strategy. Iran's control over strategic corridors stretching from its own borders, through Iraq and Syria, all the way to the Mediterranean, allows it to both extend its military influence and bolster its position in diplomatic negotiations. The unpredictability of U.S. policy not only affects Iran but also forces Washington's long-standing allies to adjust their foreign strategies to adapt to the new landscape. In the increasingly complex global geopolitical context, Saudi Arabia and Israel have shown clear concerns about the future of their national security. Washington's inconsistent foreign policy compels them to rapidly restructure their defense strategies, not only to strengthen their self-defense capabilities but also to seek new strategic partners. Saudi Arabia, which has long relied heavily on U.S. protection, is now actively diversifying its defense relationships, strengthening cooperation with China and Russia, and even promoting regional military initiatives. Similarly, Israel, facing escalating tensions in the Middle East, is proactively collaborating with Gulf states and Europe to safeguard its strategic interests. While Washington's allies seek to reinforce their positions and expand their network of partners, Washington's withdrawal has also opened the door for other major powers to step in, particularly Russia and Turkey. The reduced U.S. presence allows Moscow and Ankara to strengthen their strategic influence, especially in Syria and Libya. Moscow, with its significant military capabilities and assertive foreign policy, has been steadily increasing its presence in Syria through military operations, supporting the Assad regime, and establishing key bases such as Tartus. Putin's administration aims not only to protect its geopolitical interests but also to assert Russia's role as a global power, challenging Western influence. Meanwhile, Turkey, an ambitious power, is expanding its influence through military operations in northern Syria and by supporting the National Unity Government in Libya. Beyond the political and military turbulence, the Middle East faces a major economic challenge, as escalating geopolitical tensions are heavily impacting oil prices and the security of the strategic maritime route, the Strait of Hormuz. The escalating tensions here threaten the safe passage of oil tankers, sparking concerns over potential disruptions to the energy supply. The Strait of Hormuz is a vital artery, with more than 20% of the world's oil transported through it daily. Any disruption here could trigger sharp fluctuations in oil prices, pushing markets into instability. In fact, crude oil prices have already seen sudden spikes, reflecting investors' anxiety over the looming risk of supply shortages. The impact doesn't stop at the energy sector. Geopolitical tensions could trigger a domino effect, influencing inflation, production costs, and global consumer prices. In this context, experts are urging all parties involved to strengthen dialogue, aiming to prevent these instabilities from escalating into a severe energy crisis. The upheavals stemming from the America First policy not only affect other regions but also have a direct impact on the United States itself. From domestic politics to economic strategy and global geopolitics. On the domestic front, the clash between opposing viewpoints is becoming increasingly pronounced. The America First agenda remains at the center of heated debate. Supporters see it as a clear expression of sovereignty, placing America's interests first, strengthening domestic economic and military power, ensuring national security, and maintaining the country's position as a global power. On the other hand, the opposition fears that this policy could erode traditional alliances, diminish the United States' global leadership role, and limit its ability to shape the international order. This deep division clearly reflects a struggle over power and ideology, signaling a fierce and intense domestic political battle. Alongside debates over foreign policy, decisions regarding finance and military spending have also become hot topics, impacting economic growth and the United States' international standing. Cutting military expenditures is a strategic move aimed at optimizing the budget, reallocating resources to key domestic sectors, boosting internal growth, and strengthening the financial foundation. However, reducing overseas military power is not just an economic issue. It also affects America's global influence and standing. The United States must balance budget savings with safeguarding its strategic interests, protecting national security while maintaining its role as a global leader. At the same time, its military withdrawal creates opportunities for other powers to reshape the world order. Some experts emphasize that the U.S. reducing its presence in strategic regions weakens its global standing and opens the door for China and Russia to fill the power vacuum. This, in turn, poses a major geopolitical challenge, as the balance of power risks tipping toward countries seeking to expand their influence, threatening the current international order led by the West. In summary, The United States reducing its military presence in the Middle East and Europe is not just a strategic adjustment. It also leaves far-reaching consequences for the global political, economic, and security landscape. As Washington scales back its international role, other powers such as Russia, China, and Iran gain opportunities to expand their influence and reshape the world order in ways that favor them. In Europe, the trend toward greater defense autonomy may help countries strengthen their capabilities. But it also poses challenges in terms of coordination and unity in a common strategy. Meanwhile, in the Middle East, the power vacuum left by the U.S. risks escalating tensions, leading to unpredictable instability. The question arises: does this withdrawal truly help the United States focus on strengthening its domestic foundations? Or does it inadvertently accelerate the decline of its global influence, giving rivals the opportunity to reshape the world's political landscape in ways unfavorable to Washington? The answer, perhaps, only time will reveal. That's it for today's video. Thanks for watching all the way through. What do you think about this weapon? Drop a comment below and let me know.